Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 6:07 on this incredibly busy Thursday morning in your nation's capital, but it's going to be that way every single day right up until the election and past it, frankly. So buckle up and get ready for the ride. It's going to be a great one. 6:35, 30 minutes from now, Brenda Diaz running for Montgomery County Board of Education. 7:05 brings us Hans von Spakovsky. Lots of early voting, including starting today in Maryland. We'll find out what he thinks of these early voting numbers and what it means for Election Day turnout. 7:15 is Nicole Harris, the chair of the Maryland GOP. 7:35, Representative Mike Waltz, a retired Green Beret. We'll ask him about General John Kelly's statements. 8:05, Neil Parrott running for Congress in Maryland. And then at 8:35, Virginia Attorney General Jason Miyares. That's a lot. And we've also got Mercedes Schlapp, of course, and she's a lot, trust me. Good morning, Mercedes.
I knew you were going to say that. This is so sad. This is crazy that I can finish your sentences. I knew you were going to say that.
That's true. It's like you're my sister from another mother.
So
although
weird.
I've seen your mother, and knowing my dad back in the day, he would have been all over.
She's a hot mama at 81,
yeah.
but she is tiny. She's like less than 5 feet tall now. I mean,
God.
Matt is like a giant next to her. It's so hysterically funny.
Is it? I know that this is inappropriate, but what if we were brother and sister? Would that be weird?
No, we would be brother and sister. No. You'd be great. You'd be a great brother.
Right?
Yeah.
You could do worse than have. You don't have a brother, do you?
I do. I have an older brother who's
I've never met
fantastic.
your brother. How is that possible?
You have met my brother.
I have.
You've had to have met my brother.
Maybe I have.
Anyways, we'll go into your visiting
Your sister just leaves
brothers,
such a much bigger impression. I am. I'm spending a lot of time with I spent time with two of my brothers last night here in Michigan. As I'm again broadcasting from Michigan, as I'm with Hillsdale College all week long. And I'm going to be seeing them over the weekend. It's good. By the way, as we were just talking about, how do you get through this news cycle? How do you deal with all the bad news and all the trash? Spend time with your family.
Well, and I say
unplug a little bit.
As Catholics, or for me, like our daily mass is just. I love going to daily mass, and I don't get to go on Thursdays usually because I'm doing the show in the morning. But what I find is that when I go to mass, daily mass is great because you've got the solid Catholics that are literally praying for like restoring America. And then I'm walking out and then they come up to me and they're like, hey, we're praying for President Trump. Like they're all like, we're praying for this election. And I think this is what you're seeing in so many of these rallies. You're seeing these prayers of these faith leaders over President Trump. This is something I have not seen in a really long time. There was one event where they were saying the Our Father. So there is this resurgence. It's like this revival of people of faith basically saying, you know what? I've been bullied for too long by this secular world, and I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm a voter too, and I have rights as an American citizen, and I'm going to speak up. And that's kind of a great thing. It's a beautiful thing in America, right?
Yeah, put on the armor of Christ and fight that fight. And they tried to pray over Kamala Harris at a rally last week, and she told him to get out. You're at the wrong rally.
Right.
So,
they said, Jesus is Lord. And she goes, you are at the wrong rally. I was like,
we don't need that kind of hate speech here.
Are you trying to isolate every single voter? And then did you hear there was the source that she was yelling at Julie Chavez, her campaign manager, saying about the Al Smith dinner, and then that she should have gone.
The Molly, the decision to use that Molly Shannon video instead.
Well, not only that, but not going to the actual event.
Yeah.
And then, because basically what she's done is that they were this is the problem with the campaign, the Kamala campaign. They are so nervous about insulting these little, micro target groups that that's why they've made these horrific decisions on the campaign. So they were like, we can't upset the pro-abortion activists. We can't upset the LGBTQ base if we go to this Catholic dinner. That's what we're going to end up doing. I mean, think about how dumb they are. Like, they don't even think through. Like, you got to add numbers, not like try to isolate people or make them feel like
numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I didn't mean to dominate the session. You just
No, not at all. Let's continue our focus on the collapse of the Kamala Harris campaign, because that really is the underlying baseline story of all of the ridiculous October surprise garbage they're trying to throw at Donald Trump and Donald Trump supporters, is that they're trying to do anything they can to take the spotlight off of their collapse. And last night was no different. This was a CNN so-called town hall. But later in the evening, Jake Tapper admitted that all of the so-called undecided voters at this town hall, none of them were leaning toward Trump. They were all leaning toward Kamala Harris if they were undecided at all. And she took her Trump is a fascist story on the road here. Cut 11. She begins with the new narrative of the day. Forget about Joy Summer. Forget about, the economy. Forget about all of the other narratives that they've tried to put together, or that Trump is fatigue, or that Trump is chaotic, or that we're turning the page. No, now it's just full on Trump is a fascist. Listen.
For many people who care about this issue, they also care about bringing down the price of groceries. They also care about our democracy and not having a president of the United States who admires dictators and is a fascist. They also care about the fact that we need practical, common sense solutions from a leader who is willing to work across the aisle on behalf of the American people and not themselves.
Boy, she sounds pleasant and warm, doesn't she? Isn't that who you want to spend the next 4 years of your life with in your living room? I would have loved for Anderson Cooper, and this is what Anderson Cooper should just lean forward and said, I appreciate that, Madam Vice President. Could I just ask a quick follow-up? Can you define fascist for us? Because some people don't know what that means.
She'd be like,
She had no idea. And she went on this long word salad thing about the economy, and then Anderson Cooper cut her off actually in the middle of it, I got to say, and said, okay, well, the argument's going to be that you've been there for 3.5 years. If these are all your ideas, why haven't you done it? And listen to this. Here's cut 10. This is Kamala Harris summed up perfectly when she's on her heels, when she's not expecting anything, and then she has to come up with something on the fly. This is classic Kamala. Listen.
To this job and the way I think about it than Joe Biden.
Some voters, though, might ask, you've been in the White House for 4 years. You were vice president, not the president. But why wasn't any of that done the last 4 years?
Well, there was a lot that was done, but there's more to do, Anderson. And I'm pointing out things that need to be done that haven't been done but need to be done. And I'm not going to shy away from saying, hey, these are still problems that we need to fix.
Did you follow that? It's just
done,
so
done.
good.
Dumb is what it sounds like to me.
No,
of course not. You can't. Like David Axelrod.
Hold on. Let me just.
Former...
I want to isolate this really fast, and then you could go. Listen.
You've been in the White House for 4 years. You were vice president, not the president. But why wasn't any of that done the last 4 years?
Well, there was a lot that was done, but there's more to do, Anderson. And I'm pointing out things that need to be done that haven't been done but need to be done.
Can you, Larry, play it again? Just play it again. It's so good.
I would
like, that's
so
an ad.
take a
That's
fascist
a Trump ad
over
right
this.
there.
Yes, this is your stalwart leadership from the top, man.
Done the last 4 years.
Well, there was a lot that was done, but there's more to do, Anderson. And I'm pointing out things that need to be done that haven't been done but need to be done.
I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself.
No.
I'm pointing out things that need to be done that haven't been done that need to be done. Yeah,
it's like
we've done a lot,
song.
but there's a lot that needs to be done.
It's like it's like when Meredith tells you, okay, Larry, go take out the garbage, and you're like, well, it's gonna be done, but it hasn't been done, but it will be done.
No, it's more like you haven't done anything today. What have you done?
You haven't done crap today. Okay,
exactly. That's more like
get off the couch. I can't take it anymore.
You've been vice president for 3.5 years. Why haven't you done this yet?
Years.
Well, there was a lot that was done, but there's more to do, Anderson. And I'm pointing out things that need to be done that haven't been done but need to be done.
Honestly, I'll take fascism over that any day. I'm all in for fascism.
A mean tweet. I'll take it. I'll take anything except that. Okay.
It's a wonder that the economy isn't booming with that kind of leadership.
No
at
kidding.
The rudder,
I mean, can
right?
you imagine? Really? I mean, that's a way to direct orders to like all your economic advisors and the military advisors. They're really going to trust her wisdom.
By the way, that wasn't even Kamala Harris's worst media moment at all.
Not at all.
Her
But that's
worst
a bad
moment,
one.
yes. It's good. Yesterday, they released an interview she did with Telemundo, and the interviewer from Telemundo challenged her on deportation. And if Trump's wanting deportation, what's your plan? And her plan? Well, her plan is exactly what you think her plan is. And she said the quiet part out loud. You'll hear it next. First, though, it's 6:15 WMAL.
WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Live
from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Kamala Harris sat down with Telemundo as well, and they released it yesterday. I think she may have taped this Tuesday night with that NBC News interview with Hallie Jackson because it looked like the same setting, same lighting. And Telemundo, I think, is a partner with NBC, so it makes sense that they may have put
Yeah,
it
that would
together
be
on this.
accurate. They might have been in the same type of vicinity.
A couple of things came out, but I need to get right to the most important part. This is cut 20. The interviewer, Julio Vaquero.
Oh, my
you
gosh.
familiar with
He looks
him?
like a telenovela star.
He's got that hair, doesn't he? He does. He looks
Yeah,
like he walked right up.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Don't
Simmer
get
down.
jealous, Larry. You and Matt
I
should
just
never get
say,
jealous.
I'm
but
5'5".
I was like,
can't-
whoa, okay.
Anyway, when he wasn't living La Vida Loca, he was asking Kamala Harris an important question about why Democrats are abandoning illegal aliens and no longer talking about a pathway to citizenship. Listen.
Right now, we're talking about border security, and there's nobody, no Democrat, talking about pathway to citizenship, and immigration relief, and the benefits that migrants bring to this country.
By the way, this pause there. I love it when she has her out-of-body experiences and she forgets.
I am.
No, exactly. So, hey, I'm all over amnesty. Are you kidding me? That's all I'm talking about because she's so eager to please the person that's sitting in front of her that she doesn't
That's
realize
right.
that we're all listening.
That's what's so scary is that she will shift with every single answer. That's what Kamala Harris does. There is no solid foundation under Kamala Harris. She shifts with the wind. It is the scariest thing. She's like, I ban fracking. Well, I'm not going to really ban fracking. Okay, well, I'm not for mass deportations because I'm really for mass amnesty, but I'm not really for that either. It just boggles my mind. It boggles my mind. I'm like, just pick a side. Pick a side. I don't care.
If that were truly the case, I think, but it doesn't boggle my mind anymore because I've recognized something. She has these tics. She has these mannerisms. Her eyes are shifty. She stammers. She's trying to remember, and you can tell that she's trying to remember. There are two moments in these interviews where she is genuine. She doesn't seem like a fraud. She doesn't seem like she's putting on some sort of fake persona. It's when she's talking about making sure that every woman can kill an unborn child in her womb. She is. Yeah. There's no talking point there. She knows that is her core. That is her principle. Clear. And this part. See, this is her foundation. That's why she immediately jumped in and said, "Hey, I'm talking about pathway to citizenship." In fact, listen as she continues because she actually. She elaborates. She actually says, "Hey, this is her core belief: amnesty and open borders, and killing those babies in the womb." Let's continue with this cut.
Oh, but there's no question that migrants bring. America is a country that was built in part by immigrants.
But people are concerned about their TPS, their DACA, we're talking about mass deportations.
I'm not talking about.
What do you stand on mass deportations? What's your stand there?
We need smart, humane immigration policy in America that includes a pathway to citizenship.
There you go. By the way,
there is no. Larry, you're going so fast. Okay,
let me
just
sorry.
real quick. I know
here.
we have so much. There's so much news.
Go ahead.
So much news. But first of all, I love her little fake accent that always pops up depending on who she talks to. Let's be real.
Yes.
We're not talking about,
We're not talking about
mass deportation.
Yeah.
Then the smart humanitarian piece of this really upsets me. There are over 300,000 children missing under the Harris administration. They came through that border. We don't know where they are. We know that many of these could be victims of sex trafficking. And it is truly a humanitarian crisis what that woman has created at the border. And I believe it is one of the strongest talking points that Donald Trump, and he's talked about it time and time again. We talked about it at the Latino Summit. But it just shows, like, I'm thinking as a Latino viewer who's watching this Telemundo interview, they're like, dude, this woman can't lead. Like, she doesn't even have a coherent thought or a vision for America. So even in her defense, she was trying to defend herself. It was coming off as just pure weakness.
Hold on. Again, I don't know why I always have to balance out your hysterical right-wing propaganda here.
You're being sexist. That's what it is.
No, it's just
no. Wait, you're being anti-Hispanic. Wait.
Just keep them coming. to say that she doesn't have a clear and coherent thought. I mean, just need I remind you, cut 21. I just need to play this again for you so you can recognize how clear and coherent Kamala Harris is. Take a listen.
There's no question that migrants bring. America is a country that was built in part by immigrants.
There you go. I mean, what more do you want? That is a decisive, coherent leader. Damn it!
It is in her fake accent. It just because it's like why do you have to shift your accent when you're talking to like the Telemundo telenovela guy? Come on.
Well, maybe she was a little taken by his appearance, as you clearly are.
But you brought
I'm
up
going to have
a good
to alert Julio Barquero's wife, Esposa, that she's got to be on the lookout for Mercedes knocking on the door.
Kamala. But I will tell you, I do think you bring up a good point. I know we're talking about immigration here, but I think for Kamala, when she talks about abortion, she is very comfortable in that space for a lot of reasons. But I do think like everything with them, especially when it comes to the woman voter, it's okay. I'm worried about my grocery bills going up, right? And the prices going up. And then all of a sudden Kamala's answer is, well, you can get an abortion. I mean, that's kind of how they're answering these questions. It does not work. Yeah. But you're right, on immigration, which the Democrats should really kind of somewhat own this if they want to talk about mass amnesty and all this stuff. She was on defense the whole entire time in the interview, which again raises the question: why is the Kamala campaign doing these interviews where she is failing one after the other after the other? It makes their campaign strategy really makes no sense.
I know, but I think they keep thinking that the next one's going to be good.
No, it's only,
it just
honey.
gets worse.
I mean, campaign people, it's only getting worse. Okay,
did you call me honey?
Did
you call me honey?
No, I called the campaign people honey. I was like, come on, it's good. Come on.
I'm just a little nervous.
Oh Lord!
No, you're just still a little distracted.
No, I called
by
Julio
honey.
Vaquero. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly. 6:25 now. WMAL traffic and weather. Every 10 minutes, first on the fives. How do you say restraining order in Spanish?
Oh my gosh!
I just feel like you're going to be. You sound like a stalker. I mean, leave them
I am
alone.
not.
And by the way,
I am not.
young enough to be your oldest son. Here's Jamie Whitten in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
All right.
It's 65 degrees right now.
Now
on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
6:36, and we've got a very busy morning ahead of us. At 7:05, Hans von Spakovsky will talk about early voting and what those numbers are looking like. 7:15, Nicole Harris, chair of the Republican Party of Maryland, on today's early voting starting in the Free State. 7:35, Representative Mike Waltz will join us. 8:05, Neil Parrott, running for 6th District congressional seat in Maryland. And 8:35, the Attorney General of Virginia, Jason Miyares, who is also living La Vida Loca alongside Mercedes Schlapp. Good morning, Mercedes. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. Great to be on this morning.
Joining us right now, as you know, we focus on the Senate races, the presidential race, the congressional races, but our heart belongs to the Board of Education. In this case, the Montgomery County has one seat available that Brenda Diaz would love to occupy, and she joins us now. Brenda, thank you for being here.
Having me.
So Montgomery County, it seems like a tough hill to climb there to get a seat on the Montgomery County Board of Education unless you are teachers union approved, right? It seems like they sort of have cornered the market there. So tell me your strategy and what your vision for the Montgomery County Board of Education, how it differs maybe from what citizens of the county have been used to.
So my strategy to win this seat is literally just talking to the people every day. I'm meeting parents, grandparents, students, teachers, just everyone in the county, as many people as I can, going out and talking and listening to what they have to say. You know, I had a grandparent the other day call me, actually, and we spent about an hour on the phone where I gave him my time and my attention as he asked me questions going into detail about my platform. And at the end of everything, he said, you know what, Brenda, you have my vote. You have the experience. You have the expertise. You have the vision. You have my vote, and I'm going to tell my friends. So, and he lives in Gaithersburg, and he has a daughter in Bethesda. You know, in terms of how it's different from the union, honestly, the union is complacent. They believe that they have this on lockdown. They depend on the Apple ballot. I think it's 6 out of the 7 members of the board are Apple ballot approved, or at one point were Apple ballot approved. And so, the public has gotten used to believing that the union has their children's interests at heart. But throughout this campaign, you haven't heard the union talk about holding students to high academic and behavioral expectations. Definitely, you have not heard them prioritize school safety. That's something that they're not interested in. They don't want to bring back the SROs. As far as boosting teacher morale, they've allowed the Beidelman debacle to continue. They keep talking for extra funds for the budget for MCPS, but they don't talk about how to use responsible resource allocation to make sure that our budget is, that we oversee it diligently. And then they definitely are not about encouraging and respecting parental involvement. MCPS schools have essentially shut out parents from the school building, and it's just really just at this point tragic, our reading and writing and math scores.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. You were put on leave just was during the COVID-19 pandemic, and eventually you resigned after violating a mask mandate there, which I probably would have violated it with you as well.
Yeah, we would have all been fired.
Yeah, we would have all been fired. But, when you were working there and now that you're running for office, what were the issues and big problems that you were watching coming out of the school district, basically? What were the biggest issues you were seeing?
So I was a teacher at Gaithersburg High School. I taught social studies. And my time there, the biggest issues that I saw were grade inflation, chronic absenteeism, and, the county issuing below grade level appropriate assignments. It's the kind of stuff actually that was brought out in the Bethesda magazine article, is MCPS making the grade or passing the grade? So, it's funny because when I was at Gaithersburg, this was in 2015, and now in 2024, they're talking about the same issues being a problem for MCPS. So this has been ongoing. These have been ongoing problems. So, and definitely school fights and violence. But at the time we had SROs, so I felt safe and we were safe, and the SROs definitely reassured us that they were preventing lots of situations from happening. So those are the major issues.
Brenda Diaz is our guest. She's running for Montgomery County Board of Education. She's recently been a teacher at Gaithersburg High School, and you can get more information about her at diazforboe.com, Diaz, D-I-A-Z. I'd love for you to sort of I love the fact that you fight back, Brenda Diaz, and you don't take the slanders that they're throwing at you. It's so easy for people to refer to parents who want there to be some sort of appropriate reading material for our children in the school libraries, that some books are actually inappropriate based on education level and age, and basically because of its content. The parents should be able to have a say in this and a seat at the table, whether reading materials are put in front of our children. And of course, if we articulate that, Brenda Diaz, we're called book banners. But you've made the point that the real book banners, actually, people don't know about what Montgomery County Public School System has done with regard to the curriculum and actually keeping other kinds of reading materials from the students, right?
Yes, absolutely. So there's a student who recently approached me, and I've seen this also when I was at Gaithersburg, telling me that he doesn't have a math textbook. My daughter does not have a math textbook. He goes to Kennedy High School. My daughter goes to Quince Orchard High School. We were, it's just kind of, I don't understand why they don't have textbooks in our schools.
Yeah.
There definitely aren't enough. They're depending on Chromebooks. They're depending on handouts. And if you've ever seen a high schooler and their book bag, it's a mess of all these handouts. It's incredibly difficult for them to get themselves organized, So they don't have textbooks, and then they don't read whole books. The MCCPPA Curriculum Committee met with MCPS officials over Zoom. This was a public meeting. Maybe 20 people attended. And in that meeting, MCPS outright admitted that they're not reading whole books in some schools. Just
right. They've got like summary books or something instead of reading the entire books. And yet, we're the book banner because we want an adult in the room to say, maybe this book that focuses on oral sex shouldn't be in the hands of an 8-year-old.
Right. Look, I want to encourage reading, obviously, and literacy, but not that type, right?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, exactly. That Dr. Seuss would not approve. We don't know what those words rhyme with, but it's not what we want in front of our kids.
Right.
Brenda Diaz, thank you. I sure hope you do well in this race. Remind everybody again which seat you're up for and how they can get more information about you.
Right. So I'm up for the District 2 seat, but anyone in Montgomery County can vote for me. It's just to make sure that we have
great.
regional representation on the school board. So,
Okay.
right, District 2, but anyone can vote. And then you can learn more about me on Twitter. My ex is at Brenda M. Diaz for BOE, but you can also go to my website, diazforboe.com.
There you go. Brenda Diaz, good luck on this race. It's going to be tight, and we're going to keep watching it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It is 6:44, and as you know, I lost weight with the CoPair program. Julie's losing weight with the CoPair RX program. What's the difference? Well, CoPair RX includes the GLP-1 meds that you hear about all over the time. It helps curb your appetites. It really does help you get over that push there where you start to crave food. Even if you don't feel hungry, sometimes you crave food. And these medications do a lot for you. But see, don't make the mistake of thinking, oh, all I need is the medication. It's fine. No. You get on medication, maybe it'll help you lose weight. And then as soon as you get off the medication, what happens? Well, you start gaining weight back again. You don't want to be on that roller coaster, that yo-yo trip, right? You want CoPair because in addition to the medications, that CoPair also educates you on your body and everything that's related to weight gain and how to keep it off. So when you complete your program and you've lost your 30, 40 or more pounds, you can stop the injections and still retain your brand new weight for life. Start now with the outstanding CoPair RX offer, up to 30% off depending on your personalized program length. Call 855-888-0180 to get started or just go to CoParehealth.com. 640.
Later this morning on the Chris Plant Show, the Democrats fear the race is slipping away from Harris. So it's time to label everyone fascists. 9 a.m. on WMAL.
You know, some people say that a presidential election is like the biggest job interview in the world. And, well, during this so-called town hall on CNN last night, Mercedes, Kamala Harris was asked one of those quintessential sort of boilerplate job interview questions. What would you say are your biggest weaknesses? This is always a trap question, but if you go into a job interview, you should always have an answer for it. Well, cut 13. Let's evaluate her answer. Go ahead.
What weaknesses do you bring to the table, and how do you plan to overcome them while you're in office?
That's a great question, Joe. Well, I am certainly not perfect, so let's start there. And I think that perhaps a weakness, some would say, but I actually think it's a strength, is I really do value having a team of very smart people around me who bring to my decision-making process different perspectives.
Wow. So,
wow, that's a weakness?
Read between the lines, and it sounds to me like... Yeah.
Shouldn't that be a strength, that people are going to bring things...
Right, that she's open to other people's ideas. That's not. No one would claim that that's a weakness of a leader. Number one, but number two,
Larry,
also, if you read between the lines, it sounds like she's letting other people make decisions instead of her.
Well, the reality is that this is like an easy question. Like, this is a problem. These interviews that she's having, they're not that tough. Like, these are predictable questions. Like, you murder board the candidate, and you're like, let's go through these answers. This is what there are these questions. This is what they might ask you.
But she still wasn't ready.
I've asked you 100 times, what are your weaknesses? And you give me a whole list of them, Larry, a whole list. So you could have answered this question just fine.
Some of our conversations are just supposed to be between the two of us, okay? It's 6:52.
Making sense of your world.
Thank you for everything you do for this country. We need more of you.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Making sense of the news.